the first DIY, we're going to be making this ladder lamp. It's just like a ladder with a light attached to it. So for this, you're going to need some wooden dowels, a hanging light bulb, I got mine from IKEA, some E6000 glue. I'm using chalkboard paint, so it's more of a matte black, some painter's tape, a saw, and lastly, you're going to need a paintbrush. So begin by just sawing 2 of your wooden dowels directly in half. You're going to keep 2 of them the normal length, and then you're going to be using 3 of these cut pieces that are in half. So for this, I just kind of laid it out and used some magazines and a box to keep everything in place and kind of see what dimensions I wanted to have the wooden dowels at. For my particular ladder, this is a key portion to this DIY because you want it to be able to glue and set with like the magazines and boxes holding it into place. So I'm just using my E6000 glue to secure it. Keep in mind the E6000 glue does take overnight to dry. So the next step is just to add your painter's tape, and I'm just taping off 3 sections, and I'm going ahead and adding that matte black chalky paint. I did about 2 layers of this, and while it's still wet, you want to make sure and go ahead and remove your painter's tape. It dries in about an hour, and I just wrapped around the lamp about 3 times, and then simply all you have to do is plug it in, and I absolutely love the way this looks, and it adds a great light to my room. The next DIY is this minimal tabletop organizer that is super simple to make. So for this, you are just going to need a wooden box, some wooden cubes. I'm using some white paint, a foam brush, a mini screwdriver, and E6000 glue. So for this, you're just gonna use your mini screwdriver and take the box apart. This way you're gonna have 2 pieces. So I'm only using one of the pieces. You guys will see the other piece used in a DIY coming up soon. So I just painted on about 2 or 3 layers of this white paint onto the lid of the box as well as the cubes. And then for the little holes that the screws left, I just dabbed a little extra paint in there, and it did a really great job at covering those up. So after that's all dry, I just took my E6000 glue and I glued on the cubes about 1.5 inches inward on the bottom of the box. This is just gonna make it look a little bit cooler, and after that you're just gonna let the glue dry and you can simply store whatever you want on the top of your dresser, and I think this looks amazing. I got inspired to make this wine bottle candle just because I simply don't like a lot of the containers my current candle collection is in. So for this, I'm just reusing one of the candles I already had. You're going to need a wine bottle, sandpaper, you're going to need a bottle cutter, and lastly, you're going to need some candle wicks. Now, starting off, you're going to be using your bottle cutter and measuring it out to the proper size of whatever bottle you're using. And then all you have to do is simply twist the bottle along the wine bottle cutter, and it just makes an etched line. So after that, you repeat this process, which is putting the wine bottle in boiling water and then putting it in cool water, and you're only doing this for like a few seconds each. Eventually, what's gonna happen is the wine bottle is just going to, as you see here, just split in half, but be very careful with this step. You're definitely gonna need to go in with that sandpaper and sand off the rough edges so you do not cut yourself. Moving on to the actual candle wax. So make sure there is no label on the bottom of your candle you're using, and you can simply heat it up on low on your stove. As you see here, the wax will simply melt. I did end up transferring this into a pitcher because as you see here, I just made this little contraption to make the wick stay in the middle using some little wood pieces and painter's tape. So I needed a way to get the wax in there, so I just put it in this little pitcher that I already had. So once it was melted, I just went ahead and poured it into my little wine bottle until it was full to almost about the top, and it's that simple. You have your new wine bottle candle. This is kind of like a DIY and hack all in one. We're making this little stone tray. So for this, you're basically just going to need a tray. I got this one from the DIY section at Target, some primer spray paint, and then lastly, you're going to need some textured spray paint. Any of your choice, I'm using the stone spray paint. So the primer is a key portion to this DIY. You cannot skip this or it's not gonna work. So just prime your piece that you're using with 1 layer of this spray paint, the primer, and then you're going to go back in with whatever texture spray paint you're using. Now I say that this is also a hack because you can pretty much use this stuff on anything and really transform a lot of pieces I'm sure you have around your house. So I would let it dry 24 hours, and after it's all dry, this is what your new DIY piece looks like. So those were all my DIYs for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you do, make sure to subscribe to my channel, give this video a big thumbs up. Follow me on Instagram if you haven't already, and don't forget this is a collab with Drew, so his video will be linked in the description box down below. Head on over there to check it out. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!